Now let's get more perspectives to the latest development on the Electoral Act 2022. Judiciary correspondent Celestina Area joins me for updates on the court proceedings. Celestina, this is a latest development. This particular part of the electoral or section of the Electoral Act has been really contentious. The fact that political appointees cannot be part of the whole electoral process except they leave office. Talk to us more about this in terms of the court proceedings today.
Okay, Precious, with this judgment, it still maintains the fact that political appointees have to resign before they can contest. We know the Umuahia State High Court had voided Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act, that it is inconsistent with Section 42, subsection 1 of the Constitution. But still, the Court of Appeal today said that that section is right, in the sense it's wrong, excuse me, because it's inconsistent with the Constitution. But the person that came to the Court of Appeal to ask for that pronouncement for the Court of Appeal has no jurisdiction to do so, has no local standing, has no right. So as such, the Umuahia State judgment has to be vacated. So what this means is that the court said if political appointees feel that they are affected by this section, they should come to court. The person that brought it before the Federal High Court is not a political appointee. And also at the Court of Appeal, they said they cannot make that pronouncement, although that section is in violation with the Constitution. They cannot make that pronouncement because the person that is asking them to do so has no right. So what this means is that political appointee can go to the Federal High Court and file a fresh suit as it pertains to that section, or they can appeal to the Supreme Court as an interested party.
So which means that I just want to get this clear. Although the court or the judge is agreeing that this is a violation of their rights, but as it stands today, political appointees will still have to relinquish their position before they can be part of the process.
Exactly, Precious. Political appointees will still need to resign before they can partake in any form of election. But if any is aggrieved, he or she can approach the court for redress, as the Court of Appeal has even given them a leeway to say that that section of the Electoral Act is in violation with the Constitution.
All right, thank you so much, Celestina, for this update. Now, to discuss this, I also have joining me a political analyst, Dakbo Adaramewa. He joins me in the studio. Good to have you join us.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
So let's begin with this latest, because we've had a lot of issues coming up with the Electoral Act. It almost seems like very soon we'll be heading for another amendment from the way it seems. But let's look at this particular issue. Section 84, subsection 12 did say that anyone holding political office must relinquish a position before they can be eligible to participate in the electoral process, either as a candidate or as a delegate. Now, someone went to court and he got victory, but now another court of appeal has set that victory aside, that judgment aside, saying that he should not be the one to bring it to court. But now this is the trick, because the judge did say that that particular clause is a violation of the rights of political appointees. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
I think it's very interesting the way these things are going, and I fear it is a case of forum shopping, in case where people are selecting courts that are, going to tender to their needs, really, because the initial court should have recognized that they had no right to bring that suit. And this is not the end of it, because it can still go to the Supreme Court. So the people who are caught up in this are in a very tricky position, because yes, you can run, and yes, you can win, but if somehow it gets to the Supreme Court and it doesn't side with you, you do lose your seat. And it's often safer to just, why not just let go of that position and play it safe? So it's a very tight situation for them, and I don't think this is the end of it. I think they're still going to drag this out. Obviously, they're going to take advantage of this ruling.
Of course, this heads, of course, I think it heads to the Supreme Court. But let's look at this very short. And I want to get your thought on what you really make of it, because there are two sides of this argument. When you look at the Buhari administration, a lot of people are running. A lot of political appointees are running, whether for one office or the other. And people say, look, if every one of them were to resign and leave office, who is going to run the country? It means that the president probably would have to either hand over to permanent secretaries or, and there is a limit to that office, to which that office can execute. Or he appoints another minister in a very short period of time. Or if you say they should stay in office, they are going to be too busy with election matters and not have enough time to even focus on the job. So what do you make? What side of the argument are you on?
Personally, I think it's better for them to step down. I think it is better to know that that seat is vacant and somebody else can replace it and give it the energy and attention that it deserves than have somebody who's on the seat but is not fully paying attention. I think that's more of a risk to the running of the country.
And I know that you're not a lawyer, but do you think that this statement coming from the Court of Appeal does work in the favor of the CBN governor, who is also now in court, to try and get some level of some judgment in his favor so he can run as if he hasn't declared, but if he wants to run as the president of Nigeria, he's saying that he is a public servant and not a political appointee, so he can run. Do you think that this also works in his favor? What do you make of that?
In his case in particular, I think the idea is very risky. I don't think anywhere in the world would we have the apex bank of the country, the head of the apex bank of the country, involving themselves in partisan politics. I think it's unheard of, it's risky, and I think he should step down immediately, to be fair.
All right, so I guess this case continues, but let's now, again, on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Just yesterday, in less than an hour, we saw a bill that a section, it was still the bill that's killed first, second, and third reading at the National Assembly, where now, because, so in the Electoral Act, it was just elected delegates who were mentioned in the Electoral Act. Now they have now gone back to say, look, we made a mistake, statutory delegates should be there as well. And that has now been included, waiting for assent from the president. What's your thought? I mean, what's the implication of allowing statutory delegates to be part or not part of the whole primaries?
Well, firstly, I think it's proof that the legislature can work when it wants to, because like you said, it went through all three readings in a very short amount of time. But aside from that, I think the people that we're talking about are the president, vice president, the governors, members of the National and State House of Assembly. I believe we have given them our trust in the first place. So why shouldn't they be allowed to be delegates to decide who is the next president? If anything, they have the popular support of Nigerians already. So I firmly support that they should actually be allowed to obviously, take part in this. But I think actually the reforms don't go far enough. I believe that, ordinary members should be allowed to cast a vote as well. They should be involved in the electoral process. If I've been a loyal party member for a number of years, I should have a right to decide who represents the party. And the first thing everyone's going to say is, how much is that going to cost? How many people are going to be voting in that election? Because you have millions of party members. But I think we can adopt the American system wherein the primaries are held state by state, and that way. And also we live in a digital age. So I think it is a right step in the right direction in terms of getting more and more people involved in the democratic process, yes.